Y'all are going to call me a cold, heartless bitch, but I just...
You don't care. You're going to say
No,
you don't care.
I know that's really awful for me to say, but like, again, yes, Liam was important to Violet, but he died. We got reminded of him in Iron Flame, you know,
Lorraine's
and I was
moved
like,
on.
okay,
She's
cool,
moved
cool.
on.
But like, guys, I want the plot, okay?
I'm Addison.
I'm Lorraine, and we are two best friends who explore the world of fantasy through books, shows, and movies, but with a heavy emphasis on books. Today is a special bonus episode because Rebecca Yarros just dropped a surprise announcement, and that is a brand new Empyrean book. However, it is not book 4. It's maybe even better. It's Threshing Day, cadets, and in celebration, Rebecca Yarros has revealed the title and cover of Threshing Day. So it will be a collection of 13 threshing stories, and Addison and I have been, we're just feral. We're frothing at the mouth.
Pretty much, yeah. I think we were all up at sunrise waiting for that announcement.
So quick spoiler rating. As a quick reminder, we are a spoiler-free podcast. There's no book to spoil today since Threshing Day isn't out yet, but we will be referencing events from Fourth Ring and across the series as we speculate. So if you're not caught up, this is your warning. Furthermore, we would like to remind everyone that this is an adult podcast where we'll have adult conversations. Explicit language or potentially triggering topics may be discussed, so please be mindful of that and adjust accordingly. Some housekeeping really quick. This is a bonus episode outside of our normal schedule, but if you enjoyed this episode and all our Threshing Day speculations and want more Empyrean content from us, check out our full deep dive coverage of Onyx Storm, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. Next, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to see what else we've done, we've got plenty of other deep dives to keep you entertained. We've covered the Throne of Glass series. We recently been covering the Fae and Alchemy series, and also some lighter book reviews of the Hunger Games trilogy or Emily Henry's The People We Meet on Vacation. Last, if you love our coverage, the best way for you to support us is to leave us a rating and review. All right, so let's get into it. Since there's no book to review, today's format is a little different. We'll start with what we actually know, which is just any of the confirmed facts that Rebecca Yarros has announced. And then we'll do Conscription Day, where we react to the actual announcement and talk about the cover. And after that, this is where we have some of our juicy portion of the episode. We're going to be predicting the 13. So we'll go ahead and rank all the writers we think are most likely to get a story. And then, of course, we'll talk about what this means for book 4. So with that being said, let's get into part 1, what we actually know.
Unfortunately, what we know is very little, but here is what we have amassed through our thorough research. The official title is Threshing Day. The release date is September 29th, 2026, and you can also pre-order it at a gazillion places. There's a link in Rebecca Yarros' caption. Threshing Day will consist of 13 short stories, each following a writer's threshing day and how they bonded their dragon. We will talk about this more later, but I got real excited thinking I was clever and speculating to Lorraine that we might get some dragon POVs, Terran, Sigale, or Indarnas. But Lorraine pumped the brakes on that real quick. We'll talk about why that's never going to happen in this book in a little bit. I was so deflated. I was like, oh, well, fine.
Damn it.
I know. Damn it. I thought I was so cute and clever. Rebecca Yarros did confirm on her social media that all of the POVs will be human. This is through a comment on Instagram that we did find, and you can also find if you just Google it. On her Instagram, the Bookish Storm t-shirt commented, "Give me all the dragon POVs, let's go." And then Rebecca Yarros destroyed my day when she said, "Just so I don't give you false excitement, there's only human POVs in this one. The dragons know too much, winky face," which, given all of our speculation on Onyx Storm about how the dragons are kind of sketchy and hiding all the things, this actually tracks and actually confirms that the dragons know a lot more than they're letting on. So it will be all human POVs in this book.
I was so disappointed, though. I freaking wish we were getting dragon POVs because them dragons are making moves behind the scenes. But regardless, I will take the POVs that we're getting because hopefully we'll get some good Easter eggs about character insights, the bond between a dragon and its rider, as well as some clues as to which characters in particular will be more important moving forward, like in book 4 and stuff. So
we'll take what we can get.
Yeah. Yeah.
The deluxe first edition will include a 16 full color original art piece by illustrator Joe Requeza, which is obviously a need, not a want. We need that. I love artwork in the books. It's always so unique because the author picked it and stuff. I don't know, I really like it. So, which also, before we move on from this, can we pause for a second? Because we know that there are going to be 13 stories, but there's 16 art pieces, right? So safe to assume there will be one art piece per Threshing story, but that means there will be an extra 3. So there's a mismatch. So my guess is either it has to be multiple art pieces for some of the stories, maybe Xaden's because he's Xaden. Or maybe there's some bonus art because, we can't leave out our girl Violet because obviously we won't get Violet's POV since all of Fourth Wing was Violet's POV. So maybe we'll get some bonus art of Violet's threshing.
I was going to assume that maybe we'll get Tyrn and Darna. So if we have 13 outside of Violet plus them, that's 15. But then, it leaves this mystery 16th one if we're assuming that all of the art pieces are related to the bondings that we'll be getting stories about. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be like the environment, like what the field looks like and everything. So I don't know.
I'm excited to see it. Okay, next, Xaden's story is the only guaranteed inclusion. Rebecca Yarros confirmed this in her caption on social media as a quote-unquote Threshing Day gift for us, her adoring fans. And as is customary for all of her bonus content, she did confirm it will be posted on her website, which personally I am so excited about because obviously y'all know I'm a diehard Xaden Ryerson fan, like through and through. But Xaden's threshing had a lot more drama than just bonding Sigil, who is also terrifying, which we will talk about that drama in part 3. I'm very excited about that. I love Xaden. I always like to be in his mind. I always like to see his thought process. It's really good for his character development. I'm excited about that.
I agree. Xaden is a shadow daddy for a reason. And it's because he's hiding all sorts of secrets and schemes.
Yes. We want to know his secrets. We want to know his secrets. All right. This has been said a gazillion times all over social media. But again, we're going to say it here. This is not book 4. It is not related to book 4. It has nothing to do with book 4. It's guaranteed prequel content for the series or interspersed throughout the series. But Rebecca Yarros has confirmed that she is still actively writing that simultaneously as this. So it's also worth noting that it has been confirmed that this is also not related to the Fourth Wing graphic novel that also does not interact with book 4. So there's lots of Empyrean stuff happening. She is working on book 4. So please don't bombard her and ask her over and over again. She's working on it. The last thing, and I think this was kind of the most interesting, the page count mystery. So early listings showed that this book was 176 pages, but all current listings and up-to-date information shows 224 pages, and the audiobook is about 11 hours and 40 minutes. So this means each story, if divided exactly equally, would be about 17 pages each, although I strongly suspect some will run longer than that and some will run a little shorter. I think Xaden's for sure will probably be 20 to 25 pages because he's Xaden, and a lot more happened at his threshing. So I think you can expect 12 to 20 pages per story, depending on the character, their importance, and how much trauma there was in their threshing. So,
all right. So this brings us into part 2 of the episode today, which is diving into the Conscription Day announcement itself, everything about threshing.
Yes. Okay. So obviously we cannot skip over this. We know Rebecca Yarros loves an Easter egg or a hidden message. So we would be remiss if we did not analyze every single detail of the wording and the aesthetic design of the announcement. So the video itself is super cool. If you haven't watched it, you should go check it out. I honestly think it's just a visual representation of the actual content of Threshing Day. It's in a wooded area and flames shoot across the screen every time new words appear. And you can see the silhouette of a dragon in the background. We know threshing occurs in the Vale, which based off the descriptions from Violet's POV in Fourth Wing is in a wooded area, right? When they're hunting in Darna and stuff, she's talking about walking through a forest. So I don't think there's really any hidden meaning beyond that. I think it's just meant to represent the actual location of the setting of the book.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like that thought a lot. I'm going to pivot a little bit to the book cover and just give a quick thought. So when looking at all the covers, so far the Threshing Day design to me looks most similar to the Onyx Storm cover, which is interesting because that book really expanded the world in terms of traveling outside the continent to the Isles, meaning the Irids, and of course, more world building for the Venin and the gods. So I do think these POVs will be entertaining, but I'm hoping also directly relevant to important characters and dragons as we move forward with the series.
Me too. I'm sure we'll talk about this more when we're talking about our ranking of 13. I just keep thinking of what could be revealed during Threshing, though, because none of them have their signet. They don't have their powers. They don't know anything. Like for Brennan specifically, it happens pre everything that happened to him. So I'm like, will we really actually get any information that really changes anything, or is it really more just for enjoyment? So we'll see. We'll see. But I trust Rebecca. I trust her. So back to the video announcement. So what really stood out to me were the words. They say, "You need not question me. I have seen your soul, every haunted memory, every vile thought, every malevolent desire for revenge. I am cognizant of your downfalls, and yet I see the potential of everything you can become. I see it all." Which, first of all, this quote is just absolutely devastating in its writing intensity. The more you read it, you're like, whoa, bro. Like, that's a lot.
Chill
Chill out.
Yeah.
So, which leads me to my next thought, which is, given its intensity, and you're just kind of like, oh, I strongly feel that this quote is from the POV of a dragon. It is a dragon speaking to us on Conscription Day. We get so much info in Fourth Wing about how dragons share a connection with their riders, mind and soul, and it makes sense that the dragons would have this sixth sense on perceiving and reading people, especially with the magical element thrown in. And so they would just have to be able to intuitively know someone at their core in order to choose the right person to bond, because they have to share, if they're lucky, 60, 70, 80 years or 6 days, depending on if they fall off and don't make it. So it's a pretty intimate connection. So I feel pretty strongly that's from a dragon's POV.
I agree with that. And once again, I have so many questions about the power of the dragons and how they go about choosing their riders. We already know that the Empyrean is potentially building their own army of riders based off Onyx Storm and the implications of bonding a second time within the familiar line. So things like that add to this idea too that dragons can, see this truth about a person's character and soul and make decisions, I guess, about who they're going to bond based off of things that they're anticipating perhaps for the future or something like that. So,
Lorraine, this thought is for you. Okay. When I was typing it, I was like, this has Lorraine written all over it. Reading that quote again, I cannot shake the feeling that this language is eerily, and I mean eerily reminiscent of a god. It literally says, "I have seen your soul, I see it all." Language that is commonly used to refer to a god's power is the word omniscient. If you're unfamiliar, the definition of omniscient is the state of being all-knowing. This refers to perfect, balanced knowledge of everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen, including the thoughts and intentions of all beings, okay? And I don't know about you, but saying, "I see it all," okay, sounds pretty omniscient to me. We theorized throughout Onyx Storm that maybe the dragons are actually gods. There's theories all over the internet about this. So if you're unfamiliar, hit us up, we'll chat, or go listen to our episodes. But I feel like this language very, very strongly supports that.
Yes. I, of course, love this. I love anything related to the gods right now. But I could also kind of see this going the other way, in that over time, dragons have become like gods because of their power, but they remain different because I keep always coming back to that line from Terran in Fourth Wing where he's like, "Dragons pay no heed to your puny gods," But I still wonder what types of powers the dragons have that they do not share insight or access to with humans. Now, do I still think, I guess to pivot really quick, do I still think that the Irids specifically may have a particular connection to the gods? Yes. But I don't think we know of any other character outside of Violet whose POV would give us insight into the Irids specifically. But I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on this. I'm like, are the dragons and the gods related? Is it just the Irids? Like, what are we going to find out here that's going to potentially clarify that? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of threads to that. You could go in so many directions. So maybe we'll get some insight in Threshing Day. So after the video displayed, then the cover is revealed and each section is revealed in parts. So the next part is the words that appear on the top cover of the book. On all three other Empyrean books, the words that are in the same placement are review quotes. So this book is unique that these words are not a review quote. It says 13 unforgettable stories, one legendary day, the bond that changes everything. This feels pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think there's much to pull out here other than that the book is about threshing, which we already know. The next notable thing is in the small font above the title are the words, "Don't die." Each book in the Empyrean series has had a short phrase that represents the theme of each book. For Fourth Wing, it was Fly or Die. For Iron Flame, it was Burn It Down. And for Onyx Storm, it was Brave the Dark. So I don't know about you guys, but the Threshing chapters are some of my absolute favorites from the whole series. And if there's one thing we know about Threshing is that it's a deadly day, okay? It's a deadly day. A lot of people are going to die. So I feel like the words "don't die" are pretty fitting. I feel like they're pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, whether it's death via fellow riders or death by dragon, there's a lot of potential death that they got to try and avoid in this process of trying to bond a dragon. So
yeah, it's like the Hunger Games, but with dragons, honestly. Like literally
yep.
anyone and anything is trying to kill you. So the last notable item for the cover is the rune-like shape. There is a lot of speculation about these shapes because they evolve and grow with each consecutive cover, and this book continues that pattern. For your reference, here's a review of each shape on the previous covers. So in Fourth Wing, the background shape is a circle. In Iron Flame, it is a circle with a diamond over it. In Onyx Storm, it is a rounded square with a diamond over it. For this book, the shape has evolved yet again. It is a circle with a rounded diamond over it, and then layered on that is a squared square, if that makes sense. We still don't know exactly what they mean and what they represent, but I personally am very on board with the running theory that we know from Iron Flame as runes become more complex, their geometric patterns do too. And I feel like the covers correspond with that trend, and especially this one. So maybe it's just a cool design. Maybe it's an aesthetic thing. I do feel like it is representative of something in the series, specifically ruins.
Yeah. I like the rune idea a lot too. But I wanted to kind of like step back and actually just look at the shapes. So bear with me, guys, because I'm going to get into some shape analysis. So, obviously we start off with the circle in Fourth Wing, and a circle symbolically represents unity, cycles, eternity, and protection. And Violet begins her journey in a world that she thought she understood the order of, and everything was self-contained. You had structure, rules, like she was kind of in a bubble, more or less, within Basgiath and Navarre. However, her entire worldview is shattered by the end, which moves us to Iron Flame. Iron Flame has the circle, but now you have it's a square, but it's turned, so I guess call it a diamond, and it's overlaid on top of that. So squares represent static configuration of matter. They're solid, they're rigid, they're foundational, like they're known to be things that don't change easily. So they uphold the principle of, the volume of the physical world and are responsible for solidity, reliability, and sturdiness. So you can rely on them. It keeps its promises always. However, it can always, as I said, be a little rigid and static, which disconnects the spirit from idealistic values, meaning like forward progress, change, doing what's better for the world, And I think when you think about that, it signals that the order of Violet's world is changing, and how Navarre's rigidity within leadership and closing themselves off to the reality of the Venin and other territories really backfired on them, right? Like we see that Violet's trying to open up Navarre, and you have this division between people who think are with leadership and keeping Navarre closed off, and those who think, now we got to help everyone, right? Like the Venin is a continent worldwide issue right now. And then this trend, of course, kind of continues in Onyx Storm as Violet searches for information and answers. Now, hang in here. I'm going to get a little bit more abstract. So since squares are foundational, they are often associated with pyramids, and pyramid shapes consist of a square base with triangular sides that come to a point at the top. I'm going to pull from like other elements of fantasy a little bit here. So in alchemy, triangles can symbolize the fire principle, aka the spirit, the creative spirit of the universe. And obviously, guess who has fire and sort of like, if we're connecting it to the gods, right? Like this creative spirit to the world, obviously it's dragons in the Empyrean series. So pyramids in general are thought to have supernatural properties. They combine groundedness and structure, the square shape, with the dynamic purifying spirit of fire, the triangle. So this progression of shapes is interesting as we get to the Threshing Day story, because we're circling back to the foundation of which a rider's entire life is built, and how the bond between a rider and a dragon is magically binding. It's, for the most part, unbreakable, pending dying or turning Bennett. But we're also hoping that these POVs will be important in terms of what they add to the progression of the series as a whole. So things are evolving, they're changing, and we'll see what we come to in the next book.
Ooh. Girl, you went deep. You went deep. I thought you were going to give us like something about like how many vertices, how many edges, how many angles and all that.
Nah. Y'all know I like symbols. I like the symbolism here. So today we're doing shape symbolism.
I've moved on from geometry. Please do not speak to me about that, okay? But this was good.
Okay.
I like this part.
I got you covered. I got you covered.
All right. The last two things we want to discuss, but we don't think really have any analytical significance, are this book has matching sprayed edges like the rest of the Empyrean series. I just think that's a symbolic and aesthetic choice. I don't think it means anything. And on the cover, there are 3 dragon silhouettes on each book. There have been pretty much 2 or 3 dragons on every book cover. I've read so many theories about this. I've watched so many videos, TikToks, etc. I don't think there's anything to it. I really don't. I don't think there's any kind of hint about the content of the story. I think it's just a series about dragons, and it looks badass to have some dragons on the cover. To be totally honest, you're not going to get anything more on that from me.
Purely for badassery.
Purely.
This is all. This is all.
I have looked at them, stared at them, the angles, the positions, and I'm like, it's just some dragons, y'all. It's a book about dragons.
Book about dragons, yeah. So before we get into our predictions for the POVs, I did want to take a moment to mention some of the prominent epigraphs related to Threshing. So first of all, we have Colonel Carey's Field Guide to Dragonkind, and this one was from Chapter 13 of Fourth Wing. There's nothing quite as humbling or as awe-inspiring as witnessing threshing for those who live through it anyway. Then we have one from the Book of Brennan. This was Fourth Wing Chapter 15, and it said, just because you survive threshing doesn't mean you'll survive the ride to the flight field. Being chosen isn't the only test, and if you can't hold your seat, then you'll fly straight into the ground. And then our last one is covered correspondence between Lieutenant Zane Ryerson and Cadet Violet Sorengale, and it said, Segale watched me kill another cadet for bullying Garrick during threshing. She says she chose me for my ruthlessness, but I think I just reminded her of my grandfather. Which also, thinking about that, you're like, okay, well, clearly this was an Iron Flame. This was direct foreshadowing for the information we found out about in Onyx Storm, so interesting. So this moves us into part 3. We're actually going to do our predictions and get into some of our rankings for who we think these 13 POVs will be about. Oh, and then, okay, since we already talked about how Xaden's is confirmed, this is really more so, I guess, about predicting the other 12.
Before we get into our predictions, I do have an overarching thought to share about our thought process as a whole. So first and foremost, we considered who would be most likely to get a POV story in this book based on their page time and overall popularity in the series. Logic would dictate that it would be very unlikely for a minor character with almost no page time to get a full Threshing story, like a first year from OS. We're not going to get their story. We don't care about them. Not yet anyway. Okay, not to be mean, but who cares? Second, we tried to think about the characters individually and what we know about them, but more importantly, how they fit into the larger plot and how they might drive the story. So 2 prime examples of this are Arik and Sloane. While page time-wise, they're on the lower end, the implications of their signets and roles in the final chapters of Onyx Storm highlights their importance and future importance in books 4 and 5. So here is our list, and we did try to rank them from most likely to least likely, but in the middle it gets kind of muddled. We're like, you could have moved people up or down a slot or 2 in a lot of areas. So number 1, Xaden. His dragon is Segale. I mean, we know this, right? It's important to note that Xaden is the only official POV that is confirmed. Rebecca Yarros posted that in her captions for Threshing Day. Also, duh. I feel like we really don't need to dig into why his POV is included. There's so many reasons, particularly because he's the main MMC. So,
yeah.
And
now potentially, we're about to get into his villain arc.
Ooh, yeah.
We'll see. He's an intrinsic. We know intrinsics are extremely dangerous. He has the whole two signets thing. Even his signet being like, there's only been one other time in history where a shadow and lightning wielder manifested at concurrent times, et cetera, et cetera. He's just too important to not get his POV. So,
yeah. And so important. The last thing we cannot forget about Xaden's threshing is that it is notable not just because he bonded with Sigale and the whole familial line thing, but we learned in Iron Flame and got a lot more detail about the fact that Xaden killed Haldan's twin brother Alec, who also happens to be King Tari's son and was heir to the throne of Navarre. So yeah, that's important on so many levels. And I've had a lot of questions about that. Who, what, where, when, why, how? How was Xaden allowed to continue to live after murdering? Well, I guess, yeah, it was murdering Alec. So there's a lot to unpack there. A lot. I almost kind of forgot about that, bro. And then I was like, oh, fuck.
yeah.
He killed the heir to the throne of Navarre.
Killed the heir to the throne. Yep.
All right, our number 2 spot is Dane. And before you roll your eyes, all you Dane haters, we need to talk, okay? We need to have a come to Jesus meeting, okay? His dragon is Kath. Not to repeat my same argument, but also kind of duh, okay? Dane is probably the next character after Xaden and Violet that has the most page time and has had the biggest role in plot development, especially in Fourth Wing. Obviously, it changes a little bit as we continue on, but Dane is a really important part of the story. He's an important part of Violet's story. Also, his signet is very unique and rare, and so it seems likely that his signet will continue to play an integral role in the plot. I can think of countless situations where being able to see someone's memories would come in handy big time. Like if they capture a Venin and they need to see their memories, right? Also, notably, perhaps helping Violet recall what the hell happened in those missing 12 hours from Onyx Storm. Violet doesn't remember. Dane can retrieve memories. Hello. So there's a lot of implications there. So it seems likely Dane, we're going to get his threshing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And because if you just think about his story arc and progression so far, I don't think we would have seen too much of his transformation and stuff if he wasn't going to continue to be important. Like going from this person who was a best friend to then doing questionable things to Violet and damaging their friendship to then having some tension with her about the future of Navarre and Biscayeth to now pivoting and being like, okay, I'm more on board with this change. Things need to change. I trust you and what you guys are doing over here now. So, all right. So this moves us to our number 3 candidate, Riddick. Obviously, his dragon is Atrim. So Riddick in particular, because he's part of Violet's squad, his increased role in Onyx Storm is part of the quest squad, and his whole desire to help protect Violet in the squad, right? He went on that because he's like, the squad stays together, we have each other's back. And we also know that Riddick is just a huge fan favorite, and people have been dying to get some insight into how him and Atrim bonded in the first place because they're just so goofy.
Yes. I'm thinking about in Onyx Storm, how Riddick and Atrim would like tease each other and play around and they keep score on getting each other. And I just know that their threshing is going to be funny as hell. Funny as hell. I'm thinking about that viral meme last summer where it was like Riddick on the way back from threshing with the JBL speaker. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Riddick is just such an interesting and dynamic character, and he brings so much levity. And so I feel like his threshing is going to be just an absolute delight to read. An absolute delight. All right, so that brings us to number 4. We think it's going to be Rhiannon, and her dragon is Fierge. Rhiannon is a no-brainer for me. She's part of the core squad, and besides Dane, is Violet's longest and probably closest friendship. Plus, everyone loves Rhi. I mean, she's obviously a fan favorite.
Yes, and we also can't forget that Rhiannon was one of the characters we got a POV from at the end of Onyx Storm. And that, I mean, significantly bumps her up in terms of her importance to the plot.
Agreed. Number 5 is Sawyer. His dragon is Sleeg. Again, I don't mean to keep saying this, but no brainer. He's part of the core group. He gets a fair amount of page time, especially his developing relationship with Jasenia. What I'm most interested in for him is if we get both of his threshing stories. Remember, Sawyer had to repeat his first year because he did not bond a dragon at his first threshing. So I'm wondering if we're going to get like a few pages of that, and then we'll spring forward to the threshing where he actually bonds Sleeg. I think that would be really interesting. Number 6 is Bodhi. His dragon is Cure. He also seems like a shoo-in to be included for several reasons, which I will, of course, list for you now. Number 1, he's Aiden's cousin and one of his best friends. Number 2, he's also the heir to Tyrrendor. if something happened to Xaden before he married Violet. Obviously, we're a little confused on that point given the end of Onyx Storm, but like he's important to the political power of Tyrandor. His signet is also extremely rare and powerful. Remember, he can counter other riders' signets, right? So pretty vital. He is also a bit of a mysterious character. We don't really get a lot of him. He's always there, but he just doesn't say much or do much. Like, but he's always there.
He's always there,
He's
but we don't know
there.
like really what Bodhi's doing.
No, we really don't know. So there's a lot of intrigue with him. And last and probably the most important reason is Lorraine and I are pretty sure he's the new brother. So we're going to need to get to know Bodhi a lot more to understand what the fuck happened. Why did he do that? Why did he make that choice? So I think
very strong
it'll be important
as the new brother. So
yeah. And if you want more on that and how we came to that conclusion, we do have an Onyx Storm theories episode that just talks about the book as a whole. So you should definitely listen to that. Number 7 is Garrick. His dragon is, I always say this wrong, Crod.
I think it's Crod.
Y'all, this is a crazy spelling. It's Chradh. Okay, like phonetically in English, that's Chradh or something. I can't even do it. So it doesn't make sense, okay? Shradra. I don't know. So very similar reasons as Bodhi. He's Zane's best friend. He has 2 signets. And the distance wielding specifically will absolutely be critical to moving the plot forward. We already saw how important that was in Onyx Storm. He was also included on the quest squad. So in general, his importance in page time is trending upwards. And although I strongly believe he is not the new brother, there are potentially likely arguments to be made that he could be a good candidate for that. So again, bolsters his importance.
All right. So our next one, number 8, is Imogen, and her dragon is Ghislaine. So we, again, can't forget that Imogen was one of the characters we got a POV from at the end of Onyx Storm. And she is also one of our double signet people with her memory erasing as well as her newly revealed earth wielding.
Oh my gosh, I almost forgot about that, Lorraine. Yes, holy shit. Yes. Oh my God, I should have moved Imogen up higher. Now that you say that, I'm like, oh, fuck, she should have been higher on the list.
Yeah, honestly, any of the rebellion kids,
Any of the core group. Yes, absolutely. I mean, like kind of what you're saying, repeat a lot of the Bodhi and Garrick arguments. She's gotten more page time and she's built a much closer relationship with Violet. Like I would say, I mean, she's moved up pretty high on Violet's friendship ranking, you know? So, and also, in general, my impression of the fandom is that she's a fan favorite. She's a terrifying badass. And let's be real here. We're all rooting for her and Garrick to be together. We want that. We're primed for that. And don't forget, too, I think kind of the last thing to support her getting a POV is she has played an absolutely integral role in the missing 12 hours from the end of Onyx Storm. I mean, we know that she wiped Violet's memories. So we need to know more about her and her powers and everything. So
yes. And I know people have kind of speculated a little bit about, can we trust Imogen? And so I do think that getting her Threshing story will add a little bit more information about her character and like where are her, I guess, overall idealistic principles? Where are her morals on all of this? And to better gauge, yeah, we can trust her, or like, oh, actually, maybe not. You know what I mean?
Imogen is definitely one I want to get into her mind, right? Because she has such a hard exterior. But then when Quinn died, you see a really deep emotional side of her. When she talks about her mom and her sister being executed, you see this really emotional, wounded side of her. And so she's a very interesting dynamic. And so getting into her head, I think, would be really interesting for her character development.
She's an onion. We gotta
peel back her layers. That's right. Every time you say that, I always think of Shrek, where you're like, ogres are like onions. Onions have layers. That's what I think of every time.
Yep, that's right.
All right, number 9 is Amira. Her dragon is Tyne. This is the point in the rankings where I start to feel a little less confident. I think the next few are highly likely, but I could see a small chance where they are omitted. So Mira, obviously important to Violet and gets a lot more page time in Onyx Storm, plus the emotional impact of her almost being killed by Theophany. You know, we're meant to have a connection to Mira, plus her burgeoning love interest too. We're supposed to love Mira, you know, and we do. Mira's signet is also super important. It's connected to the wards. My argument against her POV being included is, does her threshing really impact the story other than to help us develop a deep emotional connection with her? So we are devastated when Rebecca kills her off. I mean, like, truly though, is that going to do anything except for just make us like Mira more? You know, so yeah, it depends on what Rebecca Yarros' intent is with Threshing Day. I can go either way. Number 10 is Arik. His dragon is Molvik. Arik is probably one of the most intriguing characters to me. He's got so many secrets. Like, honestly, he's got Xaden levels of secrets, okay? He never gives anything away. I mean, hello, he hid his identity and he's second in line to Throne of Navarre, like starting right off the bat.
Cam.
All right. All right, Grey Castle. Grey Castle.
Camleon?
Camleon. It's like C-A-M.
Camleon?
It's like Camleon. That's how it's spelled.
Camleon.
But I don't
okay,
think it's pronounced like that. Camlin? I think it's Camlin.
Camlin.
You know what? We'll circle back to that. We'll get it right before
like
book 4.
Tamlin.
Camlin. Yes. Okay. So Arik has also had a relationship with Violet prior to Beskayeth, just friends, but he was also part of the quest squad. And oh yeah, he played a pivotal role in the end of Onyx Storm and his signet being revealed as precognition. So honestly, as I'm saying this, I feel like I maybe should have moved him up on the list as almost like a for sure thing, because he seems like a dark horse for becoming super important. You kind of forget about him and then you're like, oh shit, yeah, like Arik is really important. He's really important. So I think we'll probably
also because they didn't really want royals to be writers.
Yeah, it puts the line of succession at risk.
So,
it's too dangerous.
Yes, exactly. And so like him being a writer is also interesting from that standpoint too, because he snuck in there and has done it anyway.
What's his dad gonna do? What is he gonna do? Ain't nothing now.
What's Tari gonna do? Nothing. Yeah, nothing to be done.
So the last 3 are where I get really shaky. Number 11 is Liam. His dragon is Day. R.I.P. Okay, baby. Not okay. So he was part of the core group in Fourth Wing. He is beloved by the fandom, and his death has deeply impacted Violet. We have seen that throughout the series. But my argument against this is not to sound crass, but he's already dead. And I don't see how learning his Threshing story really drives the plot in any way, or how knowing this information impacts book 4 or the plot moving forward. That really would just be like a little gift for the fans. Like, oh, you want a little more Liam? Let me give you some of him.
Yeah.
You know, so we can just be even more devastated. So I want that, but I could see her omitting that. I really could.
Y'all are going to call me a cold, heartless bitch, but I just...
You don't care. You're going to say you don't care.
I know that's really awful for me to say, but like, again, yes, Liam was important to Violet, but he died. We got reminded of him in Iron Flame, you know,
Lorraine's
and I was like,
on.
okay,
she's
cool,
moved on.
But like, I want the plot, okay? Like, I want to know what the book is going to happen moving forward, okay? I want to get all the little Easter eggs. I want to dive in there. I want to know, what are we going to find out? Okay, that's important moving forward. So that's where my headspace is at. So that makes me a cold, heartless bitch, and I've accepted that.
Let me guess. You skipped the sexy scene so you can get to the info.
That's right.
Oh,
that's right.
You're hurting me. Yeah. Okay. So you've moved on from Liam's death. Fair. I will say, I've said this before in some of our coverage. I feel like Liam's death was premature in the sense of me developing a connection with him. I wish that she'd killed him in Iron Flame. I wish I'd gotten more with him, because I would have like really been devastated. So, oh well, moving on, because he's dead. So who cares? Am I right, Lorraine?
That's right. Just kidding.
Number 12, Lilith Sorrengail, General Sorrengail, Violet's mom. Her dragon was Aimster. Obviously, we know she is also deceased, and she died at the end of Iron Flame. But unlike Liam, and I feel like there's a pretty big difference here, I feel like her death impacts the plot in a much more meaningful way because of the secrets and information she knew, and also her importance to Violet. Okay, remember the letter she gets where her mom is basically like, I pushed you into the Riders to protect you. Everything I've ever done is to protect you. And you're like, whoa. And so there are so many layers to Lilith. There's so much between her and Papa Sorrengail and the plan they devised to protect their children. I mean, a lot of subterfuge. There's just a lot with Lilith that I think would be really interesting to uncover. I'd actually, honestly, as I'm saying it, I'd love a prequel book about Lilith. I think just her rise to power, her exposure to information, just everything. Not to mention our discovery at the end of Onyx Storm that Theophany was Lilith's balance, and they had the same signet powers, right? So I honestly, and as I'm saying this, I felt like I should have moved her up a little bit more too. But
yeah. I think in general, Lilith is interesting because if we're also assuming that dragons have some all-knowing abilities and like they've been crafting a plan for quite a long time as the Empyrean, then her connection to Papa Sorengale and his Feathertail research, as well as her past with Theophany, which was referenced in Onyx Storm, that could make her POV a compelling one to get. Not to mention, also, her children are important. Rebecca Yarros is a mom, like Lilith is a mom. There's just a lot going on emotionally and plot-wise for Lilith.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, last but not least, it was a very close tie for the 13th spot. It was tight. It was a tight race. But number 13 for us is Brennan, and his dragon is Marb. He is Violet's brother. He lied about his death so he could lead a revolution. And let's be so for real. Okay, let's be so for real about Brennan. We all know something is up with him and Naolin and the circumstances surrounding his quote-unquote death. Okay, the rune on his hand, the way his jaw tightens when Naolin comes up, the in general, and I'm going to say it's sketchy nature of Brennan. I want to love and trust Brennan so much, okay? There's something there. And I'm particularly interested in his POV because I cannot shake the feeling that Brennan has walls up. I almost don't trust him. Almost. I think his heart is good, right? He does too much for the revolution. I don't think he's Venom or anything like that, but he just never shows his cards. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's just something about him and his background and his story, and I think that would make it a really compelling POV to include.
I agree with that. Yes.
All right, so that's our 13, okay? But there are lots of honorable mentions and possibilities, and I will just forewarn you that these get increasingly unhinged as we continue, okay? Lorraine and I were like, we were going crazy, okay?
Are they?
I mean, a few of them. As we go on, you'll be like, damn, like, what were you guys doing? Because were y'all drinking? Because it gets crazy, okay? Okay, so these characters didn't make up our top 13, but we think they could easily make the cut in places of some others. So first up is Sloane. Her dragon is Thwart. She's a siphon, just like Naolin was. So there is a lot of speculation about her being part of a resurrection situation in book 4 or 5. Also potentially being the balance to Naolin, who we strongly suspect turned Venom to save Brennan. She's also Liam's sister, and Violet feels personally responsible for her. I think she's a strong contender. And I know, Lorraine, you feel a little bit differently about the ranking on this.
I think we should bump Sloane up, honestly. I think she should get into, like, I hate to say it, but switch with Liam. Put her in there, take Liam out.
Okay, no, honestly, honestly, from the perspectives of like how it impacts the plot and everything, I agree with that actually. I would rather see Sloane's than Liam's. But from an emotional standpoint, obviously, we're more connected to Liam. So I feel that. I feel that actually.
But yeah, I think that any of the Rebellion kids, as I said earlier, would be strong contenders for a POV because of the confirmed detail that the dragons are intentionally seeking Rebellion kids out and bonding within familial lines to increase the possibility of writers manifesting two segments. That alone, to me, just makes it more likely that she could be there. And Sloane was also one of our new characters who has gotten more page time and whose role was pretty important in Onyx Storm. So in terms of saving Mira and just with siphoning being rare, not like the most rare, but still an important signet. And it also gives her the natural ability to imbue, right? Siphons are one of the signets who they don't have to work so hard to learn how to imbue. They just can. And that seems like it's going to be important later too.
Oh, that's a good point. Those are really good points. Yeah, we should have moved her up. Yep. Damn it. Yep. Bye, Liam.
Damn it.
Bye, Liam.
Okay, well, just know she's supposed to be up there, okay?
Next in the possibilities are what I would really likely call wild cards, okay? So Quinn, she dies at the end of Onyx Storm, but she was really close with Imogen. It would definitely be emotionally devastating. Personally, I'm not interested in that. Quinn is nice.
That's a pretty low.
I don't ever think about her. Ever.
Yeah.
Unless I'm literally reading about her in real time. And I would be kind of surprised if that's included.
Same. Okay, my next one, which is a wild card, but I think it would be really interesting, Naolin, because Naolin was Taryn's previous writer, and he was an extremely powerful siphoner. His relationship with Brennan, just rinse, repeat everything that we've ever said in all of our coverage in the past. The fandom has questions about Naolin. We want to know.
I want that so badly. I had not thought about it till you said it. Naolin is one of the biggest question marks from the whole series for me. I find him and his storyline and how he interacts so intriguing. I really think he's Venom. I cannot express to you how much I want that, especially given the fact that he had bonded Taryn previously. So we would get some Taryn too. Yeah, it's a good one. Next is Colonel Atos, Stain's dad. He's a baddie bad for sure. Really has a lot of secrets. I don't really want to know more about him, really, because he sucks. But I could see how that would be interesting and drive the plot. I think he's a strong candidate for a wild card spot.
Yes.
Similarly, Melgren, his dragon is Coda. Coda is the den leader of the Black Dragons and really the only direct competitor to Tarn. So there's a lot of potential for interest there. Again, it would surprise me a little bit, but again, wild card spots here.
I guess as additional evidence for Melgren, we also know that his battle precognition as a signet has been super important for Navarre. So from that perspective, it could be interesting to see what was going on at the time to cause Coda to bond with him and subsequently lead to his manifestation of such a rare and powerful signet.
Oh, yeah. Next, Jack Barlow. Boo! Okay, first and foremost, boo. But he's obviously, he's important to the story. He's an important villain in the story. He's gotten a lot of page time. So maybe reading his Threshing story would reveal more to us about him being a Venin, somehow still staying bonded or in control of his dragon despite that. I mean, he's an interesting villain. He's an interesting character. So I could see why his POV would be included from an interest standpoint. But also, Jack Barlow sucks. So,
Yeah, he absolutely sucks. But I want to know, if dragons are all-knowing and they can kind of see all these parts of your soul, presumably, Jack's been a bad apple from the very beginning. He was so willing to just kill Violet on the freaking parapet. He was trying to kill her this entire time in Fourth Wing. He turned Venin. That is in your soul. That is something a dragon would sense. So, why would a dragon bond you when you are so vile and terrible? You know what I mean?
That's such a good point. There's ruthless and cunning. Xaden is ruthless, cunning, but he's not sadistic, right? So why would a dragon...
Yeah, his moral compass is always in the right place, but Jack Barlow is just purely for self-power. He just wants power for himself.
Corrupt.
He's corrupt. He's jealous. He just has all of these bad apple energy things. What made a dragon decide, I'm still going to bond you anyway, even though you are an example of somebody who probably shouldn't have power?
That is so interesting and compelling because overall, pretty much all the dragons we've interacted with are moral, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
Bump them up. Bump them up, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so this is one that I was thinking about just as I was going through the epigraphs again. And so these are my very wild card submissions. We get epigraphs from both the journals of Warwick of Lucerys and Lyra of Moraine. I think they would be strong contenders for a POV. Not only do we get information from the journals, but we also cannot forget that they were both part of the original 6 writers. And I would just be frothing at the mouth to see how the very first human and dragon to ever bond went about doing so and what they saw in each of them that made them choose them. Bonding a dragon is just how a writer channels magic to manifest a signet. We know the strength of the signet is tied to the power of a dragon, but what the signet actually is more of a reflection of the writer. We don't know what Warwick and Lyra's signets were, but it stands to reason that if their dragons were necessary for the construction of the first wardstone and this past battle in history against the Venin, presumably, then they must have been powerful, and therefore Warwick and Lyra's signets were also quite powerful. So getting insight into their bonding experience would be extremely useful information. I also have to ask, was one of them bonded to Thoreau, the very first black dragon that Tarn has that one line that he mumbles about? He said back in Onyx Storm, there was a quote from Violet as she's thinking about Tarn ramble, and it said, I listen as Tarn recites the lore of his breed from the first of his lineup to Thoreau, the first black dragon to ever successfully bond back during the Great War, and then stops. That was an Onyx Storm. And so, yeah, bump them up.
Bump them up, baby.
This is so
good. This is so good. Well, especially with all this theory swirling about Violet and Xaden being reincarnated of Lyra and Warwick, or distance building and time travel. There's a whole can of worms with Warwick and Lyra. And so I definitely think that would be fantastic, especially because we just don't know a lot about the history of dragons and their initial bonding, right? The first 6 are crazy important. We've talked about that quite a bit. And so that'd be so exciting. I would love that. If you're right about that, bro,
I hope. One can dream.
One can dream.
Okay, my next wild card was Xaden's grandfather, because, as we know, he was also bonded to Sagail in the past.
I think it would be so interesting in what it reveals about how bonds and the same familial line affect writers, either going mad or their signet powers. I think that'd be really neat. I think that information would only be specific to Xaden's character. I don't think it would drive the plot as much, but I think it would be really super, super freaking cool.
I wonder if we'll get a little bit of information about that in Xaden's POV. Like maybe we won't get a full grandfather, but Sigale may say something to him or in reference, and that's how it comes up.
I thought about that. I thought she might be
Yeah.
like, you have your grandfather's eyes and his cunning and his wit. And he too knew what danger lied beyond our words or something like that. You know, something kind of cryptic, but you're like, oh,
He
I get
too
it.
was ruthless.
Yeah. He too was a shadow daddy, a shadow granddaddy.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. So these I would say are like true. Oh, well, everything is a wild card, but like for real, super wild cards this time. Okay. We have Theophany, Berwyn, or the Maven. Although, just as a quick caveat, technically we don't know that they were bonded to a dragon before they turned Venin, since turning Venin means you went outside of the dragon to channel directly, and anyone could do that, right? So like, unclear, we don't know. We don't know for sure if they did bond them, but if they did, that would be interesting.
Yes. I'm going to be completely honest and say I haven't really touched Onyx Storm since our coverage. So I would need to do a reread to confirm any suspicions of whether any of these characters were hinted at to have been writers. I'm pretty sure Theophany is a no because she's a priestess from Umbriel. So that's how she derived her power. So I don't think she has any connections to dragons. But Berwyn or the Maven seem a much higher likelihood, especially at the end of Onyx Storm. I remember, and again, I'm really sorry, I needed to reread it, but where the Venin, I think it's Berwyn with Xaden, gives that whole speech about how Jack was able to stay in control of Bade, and he was like, our power is limitless, we control them, like we bow to dragons, but really we're in charge or something.
Yes.
There's some like language about that. So I think those are really good wildcard spots for them if they did bond a dragon.
I think I remember Jack kind of alluding to this idea that like you can go around dragons. The ability to draw is there if you know how to look for it. It's just that the writers, I think, have a better ability to do it because they've built this bond. And so they kind of know how to reach for power more or less. But I'm pretty sure you did not have to be bonded to a dragon to turn Venin. Okay, last but not least, I was going to add Lynx in as a candidate. He was one of the first tiers that we get introduced to in Onyx Storm, and I'm adding him purely because he manifests shadows and therefore becomes a counter to Xaden. And so I was kind of like, maybe there's some importance there. I don't know, but yeah.
I'm going to be totally transparent. I forgot about him. I forgot about him. So when I was like, who the fuck is Lynx? And I was like, oh yeah. Whoops.
The first years. Yeah, we don't get much page time with them outside of Sloan.
No.
So I don't blame you. All right. So those were all of our POV speculations. And this brings us to part 4 of the episode, which is what this means for book 4.
Okay, so all of this is very exciting news. And at least for me, this has reignited my Empyrean flame and made me really excited for book 4. We haven't gotten a ton of news for book 4, but here's what we do know so far and how Threshing Day would impact that. So the only true POV that has been confirmed for book 4 is Sloane's. Okay, this sounds silly. Technically, Violet's POV is not confirmed, although that would be insane if it was not included, right? So it's pretty safe to say Sloane for sure confirmed by Yarros, and then of course Violet. I think it's also pretty safe to say Xaden will have a POV. He's had a POV in every book. So I think, pretty safe to say that, although not confirmed. Yarros has also said for book 4, someone we love won't make it. And just not Riddick. Please, not Riddick. Anyone but Riddick.
Not Riddick.
Please.
Leave Riddick. Leave him alone. Do not touch him.
Okay.
I will chuck my book out into the trash if Riddick dies.
Yeah,
okay.
I will have an actual...
I will do it.
Visceral
Don't tempt me.
reaction. I think I'll hit anger before sadness. Like, I will just be so enraged, like how she could do that to us. But
yes.
I don't feel great about it. I feel nervous.
I don't either.
All right. So despite the release of Threshing Day, Rebecca Yarros has confirmed that it has not in any way affected the release timeline of book 4. But really, other than that, nothing has really been released about book 4. There's no title or release date. It's safe to assume sometime in 2027 is a good guess. If I may throw in my 2 cents here, just thinking from a real world perspective, first you've got to actually write it, draft it, revise, edit, pick all the cover art, get it printed and prep. I mean, there's a lot. You have to plan a press tour. Okay, that's the first element. But also, Rebecca Yarros is not an idiot. Okay, she knows that SJM is releasing ACOTAR 7 in January. She is not going to release book 4 anywhere near that release for a multitude of reasons, right? She doesn't want to compete with ACOTAR. You guys can probably infer why she would not do that. So I really feel like if it's 2027, it's like November 27. It's late 2027, if not early 28. is what I think.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Before we wrap up, I will leave you all with this final thought about Threshing Day in Book 4. It feels to me like Rebecca Yarros is releasing Threshing Day so she can hurt us, okay? And by that I mean she's going to write these fabulous short stories that give us these really intimate insights into all the characters we know and love, because she is going to kill one or more of them, and she wants us to be even more emotionally devastated. I really think
Rebecca,
that is her purpose. Yeah, Popper, no! Rebecca, no!
Popper, no!
Yeah.
Rebecca, no!
I think she's doing it to hurt us. I really do. So
Yeah,
just
I hate that.
ruminate on that.
I'm already tired of characters being killed off.
Uh-oh.
But
well,
yeah, getting the story about their threshing day and then killing them off is just
cruel.
Honestly, that's a little sadistic to me. Yeah, that's a little sadistic.
It's
Why are
very
you so
Jack
cruel?
Barlow coded.
Yeah. But we'll just have to wait and see. We'll see.
Fair enough.
All right. So this brings us to the end of our special episode today. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Booktown Fantasy Podcast. As always, we're so glad you found us. So please leave us a review, subscribe to the podcast, and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok to keep up with us on a daily basis. Drop your own Threshing Day predictions and rankings. We definitely want to hear from you guys. You can send us a text. You could DM us, email us, whatever. That's all we've got for you guys today.
So stay violent.
And we'll catch you all next week. Bye.
Bye. And stay tuned for some bloopers. I gotta end it.
Damn it.
I know. Damn it. I thought I was so cute and clever. On her Instagram. Oh, wait. Actually, no. We're gonna do it right now. I forgot I put it right here. Shit. That'll be fine. Okay. So to back up that. Oh my gosh. Wait. Let me think how I want to say it. I'm excited to see it. She said she yawned excitedly. Okay. I want to know. Oh, sorry. The last two things we want to share, but oh my gosh.
Okay. So as a continuation of this, okay. I'm going to put this, okay. Hold on. I did have a transition here. Okay.
Like I missed the Empyrean. I'm like, oh my God. Bro, also, like, low-key, can we just, like, sidebar? Like, how dare Rebecca Yarros do this when Akatar's about to come out? Like, how dare she do that? How are we going to cover everything? Oh, my God. It'll be fine.
September. Oh, yeah, because it's coming out.
September 29th. I know. Just don't think about it. Don't think about it. I was thinking about it last night when I was trying to fall asleep. So, wait, I can't hear you. Shit. Hold on. Oh, someone's calling me. That's why. Hello, Pumpkin. Okay, just come in the front door. I'm recording. I'm almost done. So just come in and do whatevs. Oh, shit. Okay, say something. Fuck, why can't I hear you? Fuck. Hold on. I put my phone on.
Oh, it's me. Sorry, it was me. I think it was me.
Oh, thank God. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, cool.
Thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Booktown Fantasy Podcast.